Today we've got Zac from both Dayseeker and O Sleeper. This is exciting, Zac, just because, not every time. I mean, we Cullen and I tried to do this as much as we can, but not every time do we get to interview somebody from a band that Cullen and I have been listening to for nearly 20 years. I would say, probably. Yeah. Almost 20 years ago, because was that first O Sleeper album like 2007, so almost 20 years ago we started we started listening to O Sleeper, and we've been huge fans ever since. And then obviously O Sleeper ended, and we'll talk about the history of all of that at some point. And then you started playing in Dayseeker, and we're big Dayseeker fans too. And so it's just really, really cool just to see your music career and your music journey, and whether you know it or not, we've been listening to you playing drums for almost 20 years, which is really cool.
That is, when you put it like that, it is pretty wild, right? It's like I blinked and I'm like 36. It feels like yesterday I was like playing drums on the boardwalk.
Right.
That is pretty wild. Is it
really, like, were you that young when you first started playing with O Sleeper?
Yeah, they picked me up when I was 19.
Wow.
Like, I couldn't even leave, like, some of the bars we were playing, they had to sneak me into.
Wow.
I almost think they need to have like a performer's permit if you're going to be under 21 performing at our bar.
I think I think some places do that, but I mean, man, it's rock and roll. We'll just show up and figure it out.
Yeah, I love that. That's the best way to think about it. Yeah, you're kind of the ageless one then, aren't you? Because you look like you're still like 20.
Look, I'll take it. I'll take it. It's funny because like in high school, like no one wants to date like the youngest looking dude, right. And you know what I mean? So it was like, it wasn't super tight, but now it's like, I'm not complaining, could be worse.
You look like you get ID'd pretty frequently.
All the time.
That's
and
awesome.
I eat it up. Give me that, it's so good.
That's awesome. Well, let's talk about just how you even were first interested in music. You said 19 was when you started O Sleeper. Like, what made you even want to start making music? What made you get into metal music? Like, what made you want to play drums? Like, what's the story there?
It's funny because my parents weren't musicians, but for some weird reason, they knew good musicians. Like, when I expressed an interest in drums, my mom was like, "Oh, well, check out Dave Matthews Band. They have a really good drummer." And I'm like, "How the hell do you know about the drummer of Dave Matthews Band, Mom? Like, what is happening?" But they used to, when I was really little, they would take me to those like holiday parades, right? So it's like the high school marching band would march through the town, and you'd get your cup of hot cocoa or whatever. And I always remember my parents would always get really excited for the marching bands. And the only thing that at that age, the only thing I could hear from the marching bands, because they'd be streets away, but when the drum line started up, you could hear the drums like reverberate like through the town, like the walls were shaking type thing. And it's like, whatever the hell that is, I want to do it. And so when I was in elementary school, there was a time where I was in my math class, which, who wants to be in math class? And they're like, "Hey, if you're interested in auditioning for the band, like the school band, you're going to do that during your math class." And so I'm like, "Oh, I can get out of math class? Well, hell yeah. What do you need? I'll play flute. I'll play whatever. Just get me out." And I kind of had like a leaning towards drums, and the teacher said, "Okay, here's some drumsticks." And I blinked and I'm 36. You know what I mean? Like, it just kind of
Did you guys have the requirement? I remember when I was a kid, and it was maybe like 5th grade was when we could start like doing elementary school band stuff or whatever. And I remember I really wanted to play drums. I also really gravitated towards drums as a kid. And I remember, like, in order to actually be able to do drums in like the elementary school band, you had to have like 2 years of piano. They made you and I don't even know how they vetted that.
Yeah.
But did you guys have like a requirement like that you had to do piano before you could actually even like play drums as a 11-year-old?
No, it was kind of just like, "Oh, you're interested in this? Okay, here you go." Like, as long as as long as you didn't give up on it, the teacher would take you seriously. And so it quickly did become like the kids that really just wanted to just kind of like fuck off, you know what I mean? Like, They kind of got weeded out, and then the people that actually wanted to learn something about music got to like stay, because it was a pretty it was a pretty competitive program, honestly. Like, they didn't really like, in high school, if you played on the marching band, you couldn't do sports, because they were like, "No, you can't be going to practice and all. Like when the football team's playing, the band is also playing, and they're like, you got to pick one. You can't do both.
There was no High School Musical kind of situation for you, is what you're saying.
I was about to say.
No. So, some people they would like, the teachers couldn't tell you no, but like if you wanted to play sports, you were not getting first chair anything. You know what I mean? Like you could show up to band class and they'll give you a little part to play, but like you weren't like the same way that like the quarterback of the high school, like he really couldn't do any other, you know what I mean? Like
right,
you kind of just had to stay in your lane. But I think that made everyone take it like way more serious too. So I think that ended up being a good call on their end.
What about metal? Because I'm sure the high school band wasn't playing Slipknot or Linkin Park when you guys were.
Oh no.
So what got you specifically into like eventually even I'm sure at some point you got a drum set even. Yeah. What made you want to play rock, heavy music, play a whole drum set? Like what inspired that?
So I got my drum set when I was like 13-ish. To the. Not to the joy of my neighbors for sure, but
what did your parents think of that? I always think about that for like parents when you got like a 13-year-old just whacking on these drums. Like that's gotta,
dude, bless
at some
them,
point it's gotta be a little annoying, right?
As a drummer, I don't know if I would if I had a kid, I don't know if I would let them have a drum set and that, you feel me? But I wasn't a bad kid. I was just bored, and so like I'd just be on like the roof of the neighbor's house. You know what I mean? And so when I started playing drums, I wasn't causing mischief. And so my parents just kind of took it like, because my neighbors did complain. I had one neighbor in specific, she'd come over every day. And it's not like my parents they were very respectful. Like I wasn't allowed to play like after like 7 p.m. And it was like, hey, maybe don't play on Sunday because for whatever reason, this is a quiet day. And like, I had rules or whatever. But this lady came over and she was like, I'm going to call the police. And my mom's like, all right, fine. Yeah, we'll take his drum set away. But when he's smashing your mailbox in and climbing your trees and throwing toilet paper all over the neighborhood, I don't want to hear about it. And the lady was like, okay, never mind. That's a good point. So it was kind of like, but then like my neighbors, after not really appreciating it, it's like now I'm playing at like the local pavilions or like, I'm doing like these local bar gigs or whatever. Now all of a sudden the neighbors are like, oh yeah, that's cool. You got a musician? Oh, that's really neat. I want to go to a show. It's like, oh, now you want to go to a show.
Right.
I remember you, Linda.
Was that her actual name? Let's call her out for real. Who was the neighbor?
I don't actually remember
this.
Yeah, I don't remember her name. It was, I remember the house. I'll never forget the house, but
chances are it was
she was just some grumpy old lady. Linda. It's fine. Yeah, it might have been Linda, honestly.
Definitely at least a Linda, if not a Karen.
Yeah.
So you like start playing drum set. Like were there like maybe bands that you were listening to at that time that were maybe like heavier bands that you were like, oh, that maybe that captured your sound, like your vibe or whatever?
My parents were never those parents that like if I had a Slipknot poster up in my room, my mom would be like, oh, that's interesting. Well, I'm glad you like it. It was kind of like they knew they weren't one of those parents that were like, oh, you're going to worship the devil if you listen to screaming music. They were very aware, but they also they showed me Alice in Chains. You know what I mean? Like they showed me Pearl Jam. They showed me all these hey, check out Dave Grohl. He was in this Nirvana band and then he's doing Foo Fighters now. Like, isn't this cool? Like they kind of made it acceptable and made it like a cool thing for me. And so there was never a point that like, it didn't click to me that like these are different genres, if that makes sense. Like I was like, oh, Blink-182, Linkin Park, whatever. It's like, it was all just music to me, kind of. And I remember the first time I heard, it was Lamb of God specifically. They just put out Laid to Rest. And I had no idea what like a double bass pedal was. And so I heard Laid to Rest and I was like, he's cheating. He's cheating on the drums. How is he doing this? How is he doing all this stuff with one foot? Like, he's a liar. And then I look up the band and I see videos and I'm like, oh, he's got a double pedal? What the heck and it just sent me down a rabbit hole. Now I'm listening to Meshuggah. Now I'm like, what's the heaviest thing I can, I went through like a necrophagist kick for a minute where I was like, I need the heaviest, darkest thing ever. But it was just interesting. I just liked extreme stuff. Like I wouldn't like clean my room to like a Necrophagist song, but as like someone that appreciates something hard, something difficult, I found like a lot of like cool things in these genres, and kind of started picking like the things I liked or the things I didn't like from it, and kind of started like shaping what I wanted to be as a musician. But yeah, it literally started with Laid to Rest was like the first like metal, because like I had heard Linkin Park, but I thought like they were a rock band. They weren't, you know what I mean? It wasn't like guttural, heavy, like I'm gonna kill you, like kind of vocals.
It is kind of
interesting. It kind of rocked my world.
It is kind of interesting that it was Lamb of God. I don't know if we've ever heard anyone say that their gateway was Lamb of God.
Yeah,
we've
it was
a lot of people on here, you know?
Yeah, no, that's super funny. I feel like I was a little bit late to the game. Like all my friends, they had heard of Slipknot, or they knew who Korn was or whatever, and I was just more in like the rock, like Blink-182, Green Day sphere. So yeah, I just felt like it was like I opened my eyes for the first time. Like I didn't know this genre existed. I didn't know like extreme drumming was a thing. I didn't. Yeah, like I think when O Sleeper hit me up to play for them, I had to like pull the double bass pedal like out of the closet, you know, because I was in like I was like doing like rock stuff. I had to like relearn double kick for that audition.
Wow.
So yeah, well, how did that whole story with O Sleeper start? Like you said, you had to audition. Like, was it something where you like knew of those guys and they needed a drummer? Like, yeah, what's the story there of how you got connected with those guys?
Honestly, it was like the right thing, the right place, right time sort of situation. There's this quote where it's like, I believe in luck, and the harder I work, the more of it I seem to have. It's like, I try to stay, even as a kid, I just tried to stay ready, because I didn't know what it was going to be. I didn't know who it was going to be, but I just knew that like, this was the only thing that made sense to me. It was the only thing that like I could do well, and I didn't like struggle. I mean, like everyone struggles with like I got to learn this fill, or you know, practice or whatever. That's like normal. But other things felt like my friends would get into like, they'd settle into their careers, or they'd settle into like this groove, and they'd feel really fulfilled by it. And I never felt that unless I was playing music. And so my first real job, I was working at a landscaping company, and of course I got fired from it. And so I started street drumming in Ocean City, Maryland as like my job. And my first day of street drumming, I made more money. Like I had like the little bucket that you could put like dollar bills in or whatever. I came home and dumped that bucket out in front of my parents, and everyone's eyes went wide, because it was like $600 in cash. And it's like, that's my weekly, that's what I was making in a week. So it was like the first time I was like, wait, I can make money playing music. Like what is kind of like an awakening. So I used some of that money to get lessons from a guy named Travis Orban. He was the original drummer for Periphery. He played for Sky Eats Airplane for a bit, and then now he's the drummer for Darkest Hour. So I was getting lessons from him, and he knew of the guys in O Sleeper, and so they hit him up, and they were like, hey, do you want to play for us? And if not, do you know anybody that would be interested in it? And he already had his thing established, and he was like, well, I can't, but check out, I have a student named Zach. Check him out. And I think he sent them some of like my drumming videos, like street drumming. And then I had like a cover. I think it was like it was actually a Periphery cover I put online. So they saw these videos and they hit me up. And like I said, I was 19. I had never really left Delaware. And they're like, do you want to fly to Texas? And I'm like, fuck it. Let's go. So yeah, I got on the flight to Texas. I didn't know any of these guys. Because I could have showed up and we could have all hated each other, you know, and now I'm stuck in Texas. So it was definitely a gamble, but I just knew that like, if like, maybe this isn't the genre of music that you imagined yourself playing. Cause I really didn't think of myself as like a metal drummer or whatever. But I was like, dude, I'll play polka music if it means I'm out of, you know what I mean? I'll play whatever. I'll play country. Just get me out of here.
Would you play for the Eagles?
Played with them for the last, man, what's the paycheck like? How much they offering? What's the rate?
I bet.
They pretty much have a monopoly on the Australian music scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm not a stickler. I'm not one of those guys that's like, I got to play like music is music. I had so much fun in jazz band in high school. I had so much fun in marching band. I've had so much fun with O Sleeper. I just like music. It really, truly didn't matter what it was.
So one of the things that we discuss often on this podcast is that when you join a band, a lot of it comes down to not necessarily your talents, but it comes down to whether or not you're a good hang. So what was the moment for you with O Sleeper in particular right away where you're like, okay, I'm accepted into this group of guys and I find them to be a good hang and I hope that they find me to be a good hang?
So there's this video game called StarCraft. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but
huge fan.
Okay. Excellent. So we were at band practice and we were getting hungry. And there's a quote that happens in the game when you're playing the game and you try to build something. If you don't have enough like resources to build the item, it'll be like, we require more resources.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just the thing the game does. And so as a joke, I was like, we're hungry. And I was like, I require more resources. And everyone kind of stopped and they were like, did you just fucking quote StarCraft? Did we just become best friends? Like, it was like an immediate, like, no way did this kid just say that. And then, yeah, we just hit it off. It turns out like we're all into like we all read Game of Thrones, before the movie came out. Like we're all like nerds. We like video games. We like that kind of stuff. And it's something that we didn't really talk about beforehand. It just kind of happened.
Yeah. That's amazing.
But yeah, we've been best friends ever since.
I think it's especially cool when
awesome.
Artists find themselves relating to other art that's not their own medium,
Totally.
Right. For sure. So one thing that's interesting, because it doesn't sound like you really toured prior to like joining O Sleeper. Again, yeah, I would imagine like you did like some gigs locally but it doesn't sound like you were like in a band touring. And what's interesting is like a number of the guys in O Sleeper came from Terminal, which is also one of my favorite bands of all time. And so those guys already, well, a number of them at least had some established, they've been in a band before, they've written albums, they've recorded, they've gone on tour, they've done all of that. So with you kind of being brand new to doing tour life and recording and all of that, like was that something where you really kind of had to learn on the fly, or how comfortable did you feel right away doing all of that? Yeah, I'm just kind of curious, knowing the fact that they were maybe not seasoned veterans at that point, but they at least had done it.
Yeah, it was cool because I'm the oldest of three in my family, and so I didn't really have like an older brother to show me anything. And so when I joined the band, they really settled into this, like, it wasn't in a way that they were like, hey, we know more than you. It was just kind of like hey, let's we'll show you the ropes, man. Just pay attention. And so it like I learned that's why I give them the credit that I do. It's just because like I don't know if I would have put up with myself now, you know what I mean? Like I was just this kid that didn't know anything, and they're like, all right, come on, bud, we'll show you the way. And so there was definitely some learning curves. Like I thought like when you joined a band, I was like, oh, okay, where's the bus pick us up at? You know what I mean? Oh, like where's the private jet? Like does that pick me up here? Like do I have to go to it? And they're like, what? Like no, dude. Like you're gonna be eating Taco Bell all day, that's the only thing we can afford. You're not going to make any money. You can shower once, maybe a week. If the venue has a shower, maybe it doesn't. Because sometimes it's like we played VFW halls. You're like, where's the green room? And I thought it was going to be this like magic carpet ride, and in a way it was just not the way I thought it was going to be. You know what I mean? I would come home from tour with $5 from, like we were on tour for a month and I made $5, and I'd come home and my friends would be like, oh, it must be nice, man. While they're on their they have their salary jobs and they have a house and they have a car, and I'm like still living with my mom. It's like, yeah, dude, must be nice. Like you don't really know any of that shit though until like you get in the trenches though. Right. And it's one of those things that just kind of separates, like I quickly saw it separate the people that wanted to be in a band versus the people that like love their instrument, right? Because it's like, if you just want to be in a band and then you go on tour and you make no money and you have to eat Taco Bell and it's not this glamorous lifestyle that you thought it was, it's like, oh, maybe I will go back to my day job. Maybe this isn't for me. And I think that's maybe like a feature and not like a flaw, you know, kind of, because you got to separate like the wheat from the metaphorical chaff there. Like,
Right.
It's not for everyone. And there were days where I was like, is this for me? Like, it was really hard. You know, it was really freaking tough. It's like, I'm supposed to like, I have to go on stage and give this performance when I'm like hungry and broke. And I feel this big because I see all of my peers or all the people I went to school with or whatever, like they're succeeding, they're doing their job, they're chasing their dream. And I'm trying so hard, but it's, I don't get the reward that they get. I didn't get, you know what I mean? Like they got to like go out to dinner and buy their girlfriends nice things. It's like, I couldn't do any of that shit.
Right.
But it makes you, I don't think you like grow by being like comfortable. I don't think you grow by like doing, you know, like staying to like the safe and like narrows. I think you have to take these risks and you have to be willing to be like a little bit uncomfortable to get where you want to be. Because like if it was free and easy, everyone would do it, right? Like,
right. And
How did your family
it paid off because now you're living in North Hollywood?
Yeah, it's great. I'm broke in LA. It's awesome. No, it's cool. Else. Yeah, I never like 19-year-old me would be stoked for 36-year-old me, and that I try to keep that in mind. You know, when I have a hard day, I'm like, dude, look where you're at. Like, shut up, put your head down, and keep working.
Right, like you're still making music and you're still doing what you love, and yeah, like there's a lot of people. I'm sure there's a lot of bands that maybe early on you toured with, and a lot of those guys had to give up on that dream. And
some of the most talented people I've ever seen.
Right, and you get to still do that, which is really cool.
Totally.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I don't take it for granted.
How did your family respond to, you know, like 19-year-old you? I would imagine like you grow up, especially being the oldest. I'm the oldest as well, so I kind of know that there's like this higher sort of expectation or higher pressure to like be successful and succeed. And so I would imagine to some degree, like, you know, then you're going on the road and you come back with just like $5, and like, does it kind of feel like that you're sort of letting your parents down? Were your parents super supportive throughout that entire time? Like, I'm just curious, were they just really worried? Like, we're sending this 19-year-old kid off to like hang out with these like 20 somethings and he's only coming back with like $5 in his pocket. Like, I don't know, like just how did they think about that whole experience for you?
Yes to all of it. It's funny, when I got the call, I got Micah was the one that called me from O Sleeper, and I was like driving to like my community college course or whatever. Like, my parents were like, you have to do something, so like get a job, go to college, like do something. And so I'm like, it's like 10 o'clock in the morning or whatever, I'm hating my life, and I'm just about to turn into the school when I get this phone call, and he's like, hey, my name's Micah, I'm in a band, O Sleeper, are you interested in this gig? I didn't even make it to the parking lot. I just turned around. I just turned my car around and drove straight back home and told my parents I dropped out of college and I'm going on tour. I didn't even audition yet. I didn't like, there was no guarantee of anything, but I was like, this is what I'm doing. And I remember my mom being like, because the pitch from Sleeper was, if you get this audition, I think it was like, we had 3 weeks before the tour started. And the first tour that I went on with them was an Australian tour. And so at first my parents were like, really, Zach, you're going to join another band? You're doing this again? Because in their mind, it's like I quit college to join like some local bands. And I was like, no, look. And I showed them like they're signed. We're going to Australia, this and that. And they were like, okay, if you don't do this, you're stupid. Like it flipped for them kind of. They're like, oh, wait a minute. This is actually an opportunity. You should definitely just go see. Just go. College will always be there. You can always get another job. My dad was like, I've worked with people that have been saving up to go to Australia for like 10 years to take like their significant other there, and they still just haven't found the time to do it. You're about to go to play music? Go. We'll be here. Go. And so there was support. It was like a, hey, just make sure this is what you want, because we're not like, they didn't like, we weren't poor growing up, but like, we weren't like rich. It was like a normal middle class family, but it was like, hey, if you do this, like, we're not paying for this. We're not like, you can't like go make it yourself. And so it just taught me a lot about like, how bad do you want it? You know, like I could always call my dad. I can always come home. Like, you know, they told me like, hey, if you need a flight, if things aren't going well, if you need to get out of this, of course we'll be there for you. But like, this is your bed and you got to lay in it. Like you made your bed, and but having that like pressure, it was just like, okay, it's time to go. Like I needed that pressure. Like I don't think I would have, if I knew there was like a safety net, if I knew I didn't, you know what I mean? Like, oh, here's your food. You're fed. You're not hungry. Like I needed to be hungry. I needed to like have that to really see if I wanted it. I will always appreciate them for like, quote unquote, like allowing me that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. That's
awesome. It's great when you have like parents that support you in that way, and also like still give you that, like they also train you in a way where it's like, all right, this is your responsibility.
Freedom
like
of faith.
You know that you know that they're gonna love you and they're gonna care for you regardless, but like they also are like, this is your responsibility. Like you're an adult now. Like you got to figure this shit out for yourself too.
Exactly.
Yeah. One thing that I'm just curious about with like, because it sounds like before you got into O Sleeper, you hadn't heard of them before, I'm guessing. Like
I hadn't.
Yeah. So like, and I don't know what I know you mentioned like some of the bands that, like some of the metal bands that you grew up with, you know, like Lamb of God and Meshuggah, and like I'm just curious, like with that whole Solid State world and like that whole scene, like what did you have any familiarity with like any of those types of bands, or like the kind of that like Solid State scene? Like was that anything you were aware of at that time before joining?
Yeah. I hadn't heard of O Sleeper, but I knew about August Burns Red. Okay. They're, because I'm from the East Coast and they're East Coast boys. Right. And so I knew them, and like Matt's drumming was like, that's another drummer where it's like I go back and it's like he was doing all this stuff on like a splash cymbal and like he had his bells and all this, and I didn't hear a drummer doing that beforehand. So I was like, oh, that's really cool. And I look it up and like they're on Solid State or whatever, and then this band hits me up and I'm like, oh, you're on Solid State too? Like, oh, that must mean like you guys are the same thing, right? And like, no, but in my brain, that's, you know, like that's how it works. So I was like, I knew of the Chariot. I knew of like these, like, there's like this Christian metalcore movement thing that was happening back then. And so I knew of it, but I wasn't really like in it, if that makes sense.
So once you're in it,
so what was like your?
Feel,
go ahead, Cullen.
Sorry, my network is struggling, I think, a little bit again. So once you're in it, this is a little bit maybe different kind of atmosphere than maybe what you were used to in other bands and things like that. I mean, there's this overarching theme of Christianity and things like that. Was that something that you struggled with or dealt with fine, or was it weird, or how would you maybe like describe that whole overarching?
It was an interesting. It was funny, like. One of my pitches to my parents was like, no, they're a Christian band. It's safe, right? And then like I go on tour with these guys and we're just drinking whiskey from the bottle. And I'm like, oh, whoa, hold on. Is this like communion? Like is this holy water? I don't like what's going on. And I at the time I considered myself like a Christian. It's just like, you only know what you know, right? Like
right.
This was just what I grew up around and I never really like thought of it on my own. And so one of the craziest questions that anyone's ever asked me, but I played a show with O Sleeper and this kid comes up to me and he's like, hey man, what's your favorite Bible verse? I'm like, what's my what? But he was serious. You know what I mean? Like
right.
I didn't want to like laugh in his face or whatever. I was like, oh, what a question. But then I thought about it and I was like, actually, I've never read the Bible. So I go home and I read the Bible and that's when I start asking all these questions. That's where I'm like, well, hold on. If the earth was made before the sun, how do I explain that scientifically? Because that goes against everything that, right? I just started asking all these questions and I've arrived at like, I think like religion can be like really like a good thing for some people. You know what I mean? Like some people need that in their life, but I don't find myself like being one of those people. And Shane in O Sleeper, he doesn't believe in God either. So it was an interesting dynamic. Like we wrote like Reveries of Flight is a song that they actually wrote directly about that. It's like there's two voices and Mike is speaking from the position of like, if God was real, he would love you. And then Shane is talking from the position of like, well, if he loves me, where the hell is he? Why don't like, and so it was never weird. It was never like a, hey man, we need to talk. If you're not going to be a Christian, you can't. Cause like bands have done that. Like I know bands that like will kick members out for not being Christian. Right. And that was never, it was always just like, hey, just be a good person. Like if Jesus was a real person, he hung out with like the poor people. He hung out with the prostitutes and the disenfranchised or whatever. He wasn't like kicking it in Beverly Hills with Jeff Bezos or whatever. So it's like, and that's what, like the people like Garrett from Silent Planet. He's another great example of like, if all Christians were like these people, I don't think we'd see a lot of like the hatred that we see sometimes emanating from these people or whatever. But yeah, it was never, it was just acceptance. It was like, hey man, whatever you want to believe, whatever you want to do, we love you. We want you to be in this band. Like, and it led to great conversations. Like I've never been able to talk, like normally when you ask a Christian, like, hey, well, what about this or what about that? And they can't answer it. They take it as like an attack on like their person. But with Micah, he would just be like, honestly, man, I don't know. That's a really good question. Right. Like I was like, oh, this is blowing my mind. Like I can talk openly about these things and it's not weird. There's no judgment. Like it was like revolutionary for me as a kid.
Right. Yeah, Cullen and I both grew up, super Christian, in the youth group world. And so that's like a huge reason why we got into solid state bands and why some of our favorite bands still are solid state bands. And one of the things I always noticed about O Sleeper was the fact that like, as much as you alluded to the fact that there are those like Christian metal bands where like they're super preachy. They're the ones that would kick a member out if they weren't Christian or whatever. And one of the things even like when I was super like a conservative Christian, one of the things I always appreciated about O Sleeper and Micah was the fact that it never felt overly preachy, and it certainly never felt like he was the kind of Christian singer that had all the answers.
Right.
Like he seemed like somebody who was really thoughtful and was willing to question his own beliefs, to doubt, and that was something I picked up early on before I would even been aware of like, oh, that's maybe an important part of being a person of faith, is like maybe questioning and doubting some of your beliefs. And one of the cool things about O Sleeper and Micah was the fact that I think I appreciated that even before I was aware that I could appreciate that.
Yeah, I looked up to these guys so much. I just thought they were like these like unstoppable forces of nature. And then to see him be vulnerable, to see him be like, to open up about these things that like, because I'm sure y'all can relate. It's like when we were little, it was just like rub some dirt on it. Your feelings don't matter. Be a man. Don't ask questions. Like shut up. And then I see this guy that I look up to, and he's like, no, I don't know. I don't have the answers. And it's okay to not have the answers. Who's expecting you to have all the answers? That's who has all the answers. Like I just never, it just kind of opened my eyes and kind of taught me how to be like a normal person in a way. Cause I think when you're raised in that bubble of like the super hardcore Christian world, you almost like it's hard to be a normal person.
Totally.
Right. Like you don't know how to interact with people that have different beliefs. But when you get out into the real world, it's like everyone has their own beliefs. And that was kind of core. Micah's thought process was like, I don't care if you're a Christian, Muslim, atheist, Buddhist, whatever. I want you to come to the show and get something good from it. I don't want you to feel ostracized. I don't want you to feel left out just because like we happen to believe in a different whatever. Like that's silly. And I just thought that was badass, man. I just
absolutely.
It's like, that's cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, let's talk about so obviously, like O Sleeper, you guys release Children of Fire. That was like 2011. Still by far my like favorite O Sleeper album.
Thank you.
I played that thing religiously mowing the lawn all the time. So good. And then, obviously, I think there was the EP that came out, and then you guys were on hiatus for a while, then came back, made that album in 2019. And then here we are now, 2026. And it was like maybe a week ago, I scrolling through Facebook or Instagram or whatever and see O Sleeper's back. Like what's that whole process been like? Was it something where you guys were like, you know what, we're just going to like take a break? Or was it something where you're like, well, no, we're actually done, and then now we're back? Like, what's the whole story of kind of coming back and making this album?
I almost wish we did break up because we never really we kind of just faded away. You know what I mean? And I've seen it where like when bands announce like a hard breakup and then they have like a hard comeback, it creates all this hype because it's like, oh shit, they're back. Or like we never got to do that, but it's like we realized that like we're not going to be like the Beatles. We're not going to be, you know what I mean? Like we're not going to be this like massive thing. And so we kind of had to retool our life around it because we didn't want to give it up. We didn't want to stop doing it. But like, what if I have kids one day? How am I going to pay for their school? Like, how am I, like, this is obviously not going to do that. So it was kind of bumming us out when it's like we'd be so burnt out. We would, we'd tour 9 months out of the year or whatever. And then it's like we'd have bills come up or Christmas is coming up or whatever. And it's like, all right, guys, we got to book this tour because we got bills to pay. And then we'd come home and still kind of not be able to pay the bills. And it's like, what are we doing? Like we started to like hate it. And then so we were like, well, what if there's this, are you familiar with the term min-max? It's like a gamer. It's like a nerdy culture. It's like you minimize the shit that you don't want and you maximize the shit that you do want. And we kind of took that approach to the band where it was like, what if we got jobs that allowed us to tour and then we didn't care about the money of touring? Okay, we all got jobs. We took our PTO or whatever, and then we'd go on tour. And now it's like, it doesn't matter if 5 kids show up or 500 kids show up. I'm still going to play my drums as hard as I can because I like drumming. Yeah. And it took the like, we have to make money thing out of it. And it just like, we're just on stage smiling and it didn't matter. The crowd didn't matter. The merch sales didn't matter. All that other shit that like, it's just noise. It's like, why are we here? We're here for the music, right? We're here for the connections that we make with people. Like when kids come up to us at the end of a show and they're like, dude, your music saved my life. It's like, how do you put a freaking price on that? Like
totally.
And so, yeah, we just kind of like reshaped it in a way that like we could still do it. And it was more of a passion project than like our sole source of income. And that changed how the band operates a lot. Like music became like fun again. Like we got to like re-fall in love with it. And that's kind of how we ended up here, because we were on tour with Bad Omens when the pandemic hit, and I remember we just put this big merch order in because we were like, at the time we'd never been on like a tour that was doing that well. We're like, oh my God, we're selling more than 2 t-shirts a night. Like this is incredible. So we put this like $20,000 merch order in.
Whoa.
A week later,
pandemic.
COVID happens. Everything gets shut down. Like the tours just can't. National emergency. Everything's done. So we're 20 grand in debt now on this tour that was supposed to be like our big comeback thing, and it just like killed. It just killed the hype. But we went home and we were kind of defeated. And then a couple months later, Shane sends me this like song idea, and I'm like, what is this, Shane? He's like, I was thinking this could be like the single for the new album. New album? It's like, even at our worst point, we still wanted to write. We still wanted to make music. It didn't matter. Like, okay, the tour got canceled. Who gives a shit? Like, does that undo everything that you've been excited for the last 16 years? Like, no, it doesn't. Like, this is not ideal, obviously, but like, we've been through worse. And so it just kind of became this thing that like, it just feels like even when the universe is trying to like stomp it out, we're still like, actually, no, we're not done yet. So it's like we're like force of willing this into existence, kind of. That's awesome. Even with us doing this album, I just got back from Virginia. I flew in Monday night. I got in at like 11. We worked for like 2 hours. So now it's like almost 1. We wake up at 8 a.m., track from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Or 1 a.m. Sorry.
Wow.
Yeah, 8 a.m. to 1 a.m. And then I flew home Wednesday to do some stuff with with Dayseeker. And it's like, it's this like whirlwind. It's this chaos of like, we got so much shit going on, but we still all made time for it. We still all like, because we care about it so much. And it's like, I know that this album isn't gonna like, it's not gonna buy me a house. It's not gonna get me a new car. But it's like I said, it's just noise. Like I don't. Like one day I'm going to be dead, right? And then these albums are the only thing that will remain of what I've done. And that to me is like so much deeper and more meaningful than like a check.
For sure.
Right.
Like who gives a shit? Like money comes and goes. Like that doesn't matter.
Yeah. As long as you can eat, as long as you can continue to live another day, right? You still get to, still get to express yourself in the way that you want to, and that's what matters. You're living life on your own terms, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And it's weird the way it's shaped up. It's not a normal life. You know what I mean? I miss a lot of birthdays. I miss a lot of like get-togethers. I'm not there for holidays. Like I've missed Christmas because of this stuff. But would I change any of it? Like absolutely not. I'd do it again in a heartbeat.
Right.
Yeah. How did the whole Dayseeker thing happen? Like, because they had been a band for a little while before you joined, and it was like 2022. So, yeah, by that point, I'm guessing like, that the O Sleeper album came in 2019. You said the tour, ends abruptly because of COVID, and then it must not have been like that much longer. You probably get a call from those guys from Dayseeker, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I was managing a restaurant in California at the time, and Rory just kind of like randomly slid in my DMs. He was like, "Hey man, like, are you still drumming?" And I was like, "Yeah, what's up?" And he's like, "We need a drummer. Are you interested?" It was like the same situation as with, it's like because with O Sleeper, the drummer quit like 3 weeks before the tour was supposed to happen. So they're scrambling. Mm-hmm. It's kind of the same deal with Dayseeker. They needed to do a tour, and their drummer, he just couldn't do it. He's like, sorry, I can't, like, I have things going on or whatever. I just can't do this tour. So Rory hit me up. He's like, "Hey, are you interested?" I had one rehearsal with those guys pretty much, and it was almost the same thing. Like, I just walked into the room and we all were just like, it's like the Spider-Man meme where we're like, "Are you cool? You're cool." We're cool. Like, we all just clicked. Yeah, literally. Like, we all just got along and we clicked. And then, yeah, it just made sense to keep going. Like the drummer they had before me, it was just like, I think he likes writing music more than he liked touring. I don't think he enjoyed that aspect of it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And it hit a point where they were like, "Hey, like, you can't keep missing tours. Like, we're gonna, like, you got to do this or not do this." Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, it was another situation. I just quit my job and crossed my fingers, and here we are. It worked out
for sure. Well, with that said, then let's jump into your top 5 most influential albums. So the albums that maybe have shaped you as a person or a musician.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, the Laid to Rest by Lamb of God, that blew my mind. Oh, yeah. I'd never heard an album like that before. Under the Table and Dreaming by Dave Matthews Band. That drummer's just nasty. I don't say whatever you want about the music. Carr Beauford is out of his freaking mind. Such a tasty, like, if I could be a drummer, I'd want to be him. Just in the pocket, tasty fills, plays for the song.
So groovy.
I love it. Enema of the State, Blink-182. That was just, it was like good drum tones. It was like, I'd never heard of like a drummer. He was doing like hip hop beats over like pop punk stuff. Like, no one was doing that at the time.
Yeah. And he's one of those few artists. I mean, there's been others like this, but like Travis has been one of those artists that has remained relevant for so long. Like, he's still making music with like Gen Z or even like, younger bands, like bands that are like really getting into the scene now. And so it's really cool, like how he's sort of transcended eras in a really cool way.
And it's like, at the time too, like, drummers weren't really the focus of bands. And so to see people talk about Blink-182 and like Travis was kind of the front man in a lot of ways.
Right.
I just thought that was badass. And then Hybrid Theory by Linkin Park.
Of course.
I mean, it's on everyone's list, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, those were the big ones for me growing up, for sure.
Those are great albums.
Makes sense.
I mean, and you can definitely hear that in your drumming, obviously in O Sleeper, and to some degree even Dayseeker. So that's super sick. That
I appreciate that.
There's just like very rarely do you get a Lamb of God album and a Dave Matthews album in the same breath. That doesn't happen very often.
That's true.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Cool. Sweet. Well, Zach, what do you want to plug? Obviously, new O Sleeper album's coming out soon. Obviously, the Dayseeker album came out last year. So yeah, what do you want to plug?
Yeah. So yeah, O Sleeper's got a new album coming out. We'll probably have a single out in a couple months here. Get the album out by the end of the year. Dayseeker's about to go on tour with Motionless in White in Europe. If you're on the other side of the world, come say hi. If you're not, Dayseeker is doing a headlining tour with North Lane. I think that's in April.
Yeah. Love North Lane too. Those guys are fun.
Dude, I'm so excited to watch them every night. Like, I cannot wait.
Yeah.
But trying to stay busy,
Love it.
Sounds like you are.
I'm excited for all the music coming out. Again, like, love Dayseeker, and we've loved O Sleeper for so long, and so it's just really, really an honor, honestly, for us to be able to talk to somebody who has, their music has been a part of our lives for so long. So it doesn't happen very often. So it's always really cool for us when we get to chat with somebody who, has made really important music in our lives.
Oh man, thank you guys so much for having me. This is really fun. Yeah, it means a lot.